I'm Perla Javate, and welcome to the Storytelling Project of the Coalition of Manitoba Cultural Communities for Families. Our focus is on telling stories of immigrants and those who experience being a refugee, about how they experience social justice by paying attention to how diversity and inclusion of people, values, and beliefs have impacted their lives, their families, and communities. We are interested in learning what has worked well and could be better in our city. With hard-fought recognition of her industrial pharmaceutical degree from the Philippines, Lorna Aquino is presently head of quality for North American operations for a consumer company. But more than her career achievements, her pride and joy is having raised her 3 children in a blended Filipino-Canadian culture who have pursued successful careers and actively contributing to the betterment of our society. So we're happy to have with us at this time Lorna Aquino, who will be sharing her story, who you are, how long you've been in Canada, and which community you identify with.
First of all, thank you very much, Tita Perla, for having me here. It really is an honor to join you today to talk about my story and what I have been throughout my 23 years in Canada, in Winnipeg especially. Yeah, so I came to Canada with my husband and my 3 children way back in 2000. Landed here in Winnipeg, and my youngest was 8 months old, and 3 years old, 4 years old for my daughter. So it's 4, 2, and 1 year old. So basically little kids, right? So I guess new millennial, because it was year 2000, new country,
Yes.
new environment, new lifestyle. So it's just everything is new for a very young family like us. So it was all worth it, coming here, Tita Perla.
That's great. And just to put context in what we will be talking about, can you take us back to the time when you were growing up in the Philippines, how it was like in the family and the community you grew up with?
So, the Perla, I have 1 brother, so he's young, a year younger than me, and my mom and my dad. So it's basically a small family, I think, mid-size in the Philippines, right? Because,
You're not 10.
yeah, my mom is 8, my dad is 7 of them in the family. So there's so 2 is enough. I guess it's okay. Grew up in Santa Mesa, Manila, which is in Metro Manila, in the city. But I've been very exposed to both my parents' relatives were from Ilocos and from Cagayan. So basically, we speak the Ilocano dialect. So very much exposed to the extended relatives environment, sort of. So you know how it is, you cannot learn how to adapt with the different family backgrounds and culture, and it's interesting to know the different, because even in the Philippines, right, every province has their different way of living and how they sort of handle their families. So it's interesting.
Can you share with us more about the support given by extended family to a new growing up family in the Philippines?
In the Philippines, Tita, when you have your kids, you have your parents to help you out, and then sometimes you have the relatives helping you out also. You have the grandparents. So everyone is really raising the child. It's where they say it takes a community, a village to raise a kid. That's you see in the Philippines, right?
Exactly.
As a kid, you're a culmination of the people you get exposed to. Your neighbors also become your family. Even they're not blood related, they tend to become, part of the family, right? So that's how it is over there.
Can you still recall any important values that were taught to you when you were little that you had with you growing up?
Yeah, I think, Tita Perla, for us, it's the respect for elderly, the respect towards other people, and respect especially for the elders. We have as a kid, you have to bless when you enter the home and they're like, if there's like 10 grandparents or like 10 aunts and uncles, you have to go bless one by one, right? And when you go home, like, you know, you have to say bye to everyone, like personalized. So that, I mean, it's required. Like, it's not required, but you're like, you get in trouble if you don't do it. Like, you know, you have to make sure you show your face, say hi, and then say bye properly, and you just don't step in and then step out. So I think that's really, really good to have that in you, right? And I try to get my kids to do that too.
Anything else?
In the Philippines also, I think it's for very religious family, right? Like, you know, that's one thing that I think very strong in each family household is like, you really, whatever religion that is, right? So you really have a strong spiritual foundation within the family. So you from your parents, or like, you know, your grandparents, like you really. So I grew up Catholic, so I have a very, like, you know, strong Catholic faith in the family. And my parents, they used to work in the Our Lady of Lourdes Hospital, which is also a Catholic, like it's run by the nuns. So yeah, it's very faith-based, like, you know, family foundation.
That's good.
For me, yeah.
And in the community where you grew up, you've mentioned extended family around, but are there other groups also that you have to adjust with in that community at Santa Mesa?
Like, basically, it's in within that community, like, you know, it's different. People came from different provinces also. You, like, you know, because Santa Mesa is like more central community, like, you know, because it's, you can access to like airport, to like, you know, when you get your NBI clearance, or, you know, you go to the statistics office, right? It's also near, so people go there, and you kind of exposed to like different, you know, diversity, I guess.
Yes, you're exposed, but how did you navigate, you know, relating with people around who are coming from all parts of the Philippines other than where your parents came from?
It's there's like, I guess when you get to Manila, there's like commonalities. They also embrace the city life, right? So you tend to they become. I think for me, I don't really have particular any. I guess, okay, personally, I've been very active in the community. Like, I ran for council, like, you know what I mean? I used to sit in the judicial. I know, you may not know this, Tita Perla. Surprise! I also sit in the judicial council. So I sit, like, I think I was 18 or 20 years old, but I sit with like elders, like, you know, and we turn to like, it's like we hear cases like they put in the barangay.
Yes.
So rather than before going to the court, when they file it in the barangay, so I sit as one of the juries. I know, it's crazy. So it's like I've been really exposed to community service. That's like
So it sounds like, you know, you've been exposed to all different kinds of things back home. Professionally, you've been practicing there, and you started your family. I'm just curious if you got involved with issues of social justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion while you were there in the Philippines.
Yeah, Tita, like in when we're here, these cases, right, in the barangay, we call it barangay. In here, I don't know how you translate that. Here it's like a community riding. It's like a riding, right?
Yeah,
That's how we did in here. I think it's like more. It's. I remember this one case wherein the elder, like the grandfather, seems to like, the grandmother left the house. It's like, and then the grandpa is like the one who filed the case because he cannot find the wife. And there's like, I don't know, it's like part of. Is it because, is it not having enough, I guess, services for elders? Like, that's one, right? Because when the senior citizens in the Philippines, it's not like here, there's so many services, right? Like, for like senior citizens. In there, like, you rely on your family. Like, if your kids are not taking care of you, like, you may not end up in a very nice situation, right? So.
Okay.
that's one that I saw. It's like, oh, like Philippines could do better, maybe having some programs for like seniors. Like I think they do that now, but everything there you have to pay. So if the
That's
family
true.
can't afford, like, it's sad to see those cases, right? So that the grandma has, I think, schizophrenia, and they cannot afford to bring the grandma to the hospital. So that's why they came to us, the council, to just kind of seek help on how they can find the grandma, and
You also are exposed to people coming from different countries, right? In the Philippines, in where you come from.
from different countries. You mean different nationality, or just people who goes into the country as OFW and come back?
Either way,
Yeah, I think not much, Tita Perla, from people from different countries. But at school, because I go to the university, right? So there's lots of like different nationalities who also like come to the university to study from different parts of the world. So
How did you find that experience dealing with different nationalities?
personally, I don't have any issues like dealing. I'm very open to like understanding and learning from different cultures, and I think Filipinos in general, they're very welcoming people. Like like foreigners, they love more than sometimes locals. Like what I mean, like they come in there, like they embrace you, they look at them like celebrities, like and it's interesting how very loving really Filipinos are, like to the point we're in. Sometimes it's kind of mind-boggling. Like if you can do that to other nationality, why not do that to your co-Filipinos? Like, and sometimes it's like, where did that come from? Like what I mean? Where was that point of views came from? Like we're so. I think it's just ingrained in us to be so respectful. When we have visitors at home, we put out the best blankets, we put out the best plates, the best cutlery, the silverwares, and like the best food, like you've been keeping for I think that's just where it came from, and it's just translated to like the different people that we see who comes to visit the country, and that we see every day.
That's why I know in a lot of universities in the Philippines there are a lot of students coming from other countries.
Yes.
And one of the reasons probably is because of the welcoming attitude of
Yes.
the
I
Filipinos.
remembered I used to ask this one international student. She's from Sudan. She's a Sudanese. I said, so of all countries, why Philippines, right? You could like, because for sure they're rich, right? And then she can just choose to go to London or like US. I said, no, I like it here because people are, so they can speak English, like, and then she can learn from them, and then they're very friendly, and like, that's really good to hear. Like,
Sounds good.
yeah,
Yes.
that's the reason why they come to the Philippines.
So now you're in Canada.
Yes.
So why Canada?
Why Canada? Actually, my first choice was Australia. But and then I realized, okay, I have an uncle in Winnipeg, which is my brother's youngest, my dad's youngest brother. So I said, and Canada is like within the mainland of US, like you can go through different places.
Okay.
So I said, let's try Canada first. So, and that's mainly the reason why is because my uncle is here.
Can you describe to us how the transition process was with you coming over, your overall journey from the Philippines to Canada?
I would say it's really quite challenging for the Perla because, as I said, new family, small kids, like left my kids for like 5 months to get settled. Like that's my aunt and uncle said, like just keep them because we landed in February. It's just so cold, and she's just 5 months old. Louisa was 5 months old, and they said it must be hard for you already adjusting.
Yeah.
Because I just gave birth, right? So I don't want to get, so it's like 5 months old. So come over and then see how you can establish your life in there, and then see. So it was really really hard first because when we came in February in 2000, we were very fortunate that my uncle and my aunt took us in. So we have two cousins, like took us in. So the adjustment, at least you have family, right? But it was so cold. First of all, the weather, right? And then I did not find a job for like 2 months or so. My husband was able to find a job because he's a trade experience, so he can get into any company by help of the extended relatives here also. So we kind of adjust a little bit, but I was really struggling, like personally, because I had a career in the Philippines. I left it, like I was already a quality manager there, and then I came, and then it was so hard. There's one point wherein I was like thinking of going back, because I'm like, this is not for me. Like I was already so good there. Like if I just leave the husband behind. But with grace of God, we were able to like, I think really prayers really really help, right? So eventually with the people around us, with the support that we get, I landed a job. I took some courses at Red River and able to put some Canadian experience on my resume, and then landed a job in a pharmaceutical company. I was able to get back to the career that I wanted. So,
were there government agencies or private agencies that helped you in the settlement process?
Way back 2000, the Perla, like we came in as independent immigrants, so like the skilled, right? So like I'm applying the job. There was none, to be honest, right? There was none. So except for, I guess, was very happy I got the medical card right away, because I know I have friends who went to Toronto and they did not get their cards right away. That was good, but there was no ages like, because I know recently when we have the Manitoba nominee program, there was like the Manitoba Start, and there were so many, agencies that's helping now. Way back then, maybe I was just did not exposed to these agencies. I'm not sure, but I just remembered going to the library and typing my resume, and because computer was not like I have to get access to a computer, and we still have to get. I want to send in my resume. So,
is it possible that because your family, your extended family, sort of provided you with all the information and the help you needed, you weren't able to find out resources that were available
and that's
for you at that time?
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking. But before we leave the Philippines, they give you all these pamphlets and everything, right? So I know there's support, but maybe I did not just access to this. That's what I'm thinking, is like I was not really exposed to this. So, but as a pharmacist, I was trying to locate where the Manitoba Pharmaceutical Association was, because I'm like, I want to know how to kind of get back to being a pharmacist and licensed. And I found them, but I just did not find, maybe way back then, like that's maybe because the internet was not as big, like like it's not so information was not so accessible, right? You have to really research, go to the library, go to the Service Canada. Like I'm still like very impressed with like Service Canada. When you go to the library, like everything is in there. But I think it's the internet that really paved the way to more accessible information, which now I'm divulging my age, and you were 2000, there's nothing like that,
So, I guess one of the things that I want to find out is how the system has helped you out, or the lack of assistance when it comes to dealing with, for instance, the school system with your kids going to school. How was that?
I think the school system is really, really good. Like, because I remember, because I have a 4-year-old, 2 years old, and a baby, right?
Okay.
So I have a 4-year-old.
Okay.
I don't need school yet when I came.
Right.
So I think a couple of years after, then now I need to find school, and now people are saying like you have a zoning, like catchment area.
Right.
But I think school is really, really good in here. Like they welcome you, and I heard like immigrant stories also, even with like varying age of kids, like it's adult teenagers, like because I sponsored also relatives and families, right? And I have nephews and nieces school age, and we were able to get them back to school the next day. Like they will totally welcome them.
Okay.
And just get on board.
Is it?
I think the school system is really, really good, and the healthcare system.
Was there anything at all that challenged you? The healthcare system, the transportation system?
The transportation system. As for newcomers, of course, like you don't have access to like you're at the mercy of your relatives, like bringing you, like giving you carpool and everything. I took the bus. My first job, I have to take the bus. from here to Maine, like that laboratory that I used to work is like in the Maine area, and I have to take the bus. But it's good because I learned that from the scratch, like, and then I learned how to drive. And then I see that's like, yeah, you really need to drive. It's necessity here, especially when you have small kids. That's what I always say, newcomers, like, learn how to drive.
First thing.
Yeah, first thing.
It's a necessity.
It is.
So, can you share with us your journey in your career? How you got to the point where you are now?
Oh, yes, Dr. Pearl. So, I have a very extensive experience also in quality management way back in the Philippines. So I was confident I will get back right away. And I think I tell immigrants now, don't get your hopes too high. Because I mean, when you come here to a new country, you are competing from the bottom. Like, I mean, if you're one of the rare case, like, where you can get in right away, that will be good maybe. Because now again, companies will honor your experiences because there's like remote working now, but way back then it was really hard, so I have to start from the scratch. I realized that schooling in Canada is very important, so I have to take a course at Red River. That's really good, so I can put it on my resume, and that's paved the way for me to get accepted by like the big pharma companies here in Winnipeg. And I started as a QA specialist, like at the very bottom line. So even though I'm a manager already in the Philippines and managing QA specialists under me here, I have to start as one of the QA specialists, and I'm okay with that because I understand that I have to start from the bottom. I have to prove myself to, I guess, to the company, like what I can do. So I did start with that, but after several, I think it's just 6 months, they created a new job for me, and they promoted me to a senior position, which is really grateful about that they have recognized my efforts. And then a year after, they promoted me as a supervisor of the group, and then a year after, they promoted me as the manager of the department, which is really good. So I have a really good experience working in that biopharmaceutical company, and I learned a lot.
Any challenges along the way
Yeah,
to the progression of your career?
I guess, Tita Pearl, every time you go from one position to the next level, it's not just the pay, right? It's more because the company see you have potential, and they see that you can give more. So of course you have to give more. That's the reason why they put you there. Because and part of giving more, I guess, is like you learning from the company, and also you teaching your group, like and be an inspiration to your direct reports, like that they see you as like, oh, as an inspiration. If Lorna can do that, I can do that too, right? And my personal, I guess, agenda as a leader, as a people leader, is I would like to create more leader. Like especially, I would like them to develop and kind of like be successful also. Like if I can do this, you guys can do this, right? So, but it does not come easy also, because when you get that promotion, and there are like people, of course, around you who's not getting that promotion. Some people are also not happy. So not everyone is happy while you're
going
climbing up the ladder, right? Like some people will like, why her? Why Lorna? Like it.
Okay. So does it have anything to do about the fact that you're a woman?
I was thinking about that, but this one situation, I was really surprised because when I was promoted after 6 months as a senior quality specialist. One of my colleagues came to me and said, "Oh, so you just got promoted?" So I said yes. So I was thinking she will congratulate me. But she said, "So why were you promoted? Why not me?" Like, and I'm like, "Oh, I don't have any answer to that question. But if you want to have the answer, I mean, you can go to the manager's office and ask." I did not ask for this position, right? It was given to me, and I was asked to do the job. So I was thinking, is it because I'm Filipino? Like, because she's also a woman, so it may not be that.
Okay.
But if it's a man, then maybe I was like thinking, well, are you like underestimating me because of a woman? But she is a woman, and but she's from here, right? Like, you know, so
Okay.
it's in my mind, like, if I'm not Filipino, I'm not ethnic, I'm not minority, like, will you challenge me in that manner, or like, no, right? So then it makes me think, I'm like, is there like discrimination? Although like every company here in Canada, of course, is like no discrimination, so equity and
Right,
everything, like they
right.
promote that, and that company promotes it well. But of course, there's like every person has their own. You cannot control it, right?
At this point in time, your kids have grown up or are growing up. I'm interested to hear your journey as a parent, you know, with 3 kids growing up.
3 kids going. Yes, Tita. They're all grown up now, but I'm happy that they're grown up to be like good kids to this day. My oldest daughter is Luris, Tita Perla, and she was very active like growing up also, and now she's still here in Winnipeg, and she's one of the co-founder of the Manitoba Esports Association, so she's very active in that. So she's promoting esports career and opening up new career opportunities, guess, for young generations in here. So that's the esports side. And Gian, my son, is now graduating. He's in Doctor of Pharmacy degree. He's the pioneer batch that got accepted into the program, and they transferred it from bachelor's to the Doctor of Pharmacy program. So he's graduating this year. So hopefully that's my last one. And Luisa is my youngest one, and she's very active in social justice also. She's a mental health advocate, and she's also working now, but she's based in Calgary now.
Yes. So, growing up as a parent, you know, the parenting style that you use to help them be the persons that they are now. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, I can say that I took the best of both worlds. I think that's the technique that me, Brice, my husband, we were very determined to make it as like a tandem, like make sure that we came here, we sacrificed, you know, career and like being away from the family to come here, and we would like to get the best out of this, and we did it for the kids, right? But maybe for us, for ourselves too, but also for the kids, right? So if for us, if we do not make them like successful and be the persons that they should be or what they want to be, then I think it's really more on us to kind of like nurture that and like form them into that, right? So we took the best of both worlds and the best of the Filipino way, like, you know, being respectful to elders. My mom and dad live with us, so they're exposed to that, so they should know how to deal, you know, like always talk to mama and papa, because they don't have anyone to talk to. Like if you don't talk to them, then no one, right? So, and just keeping the values of the Filipinos, and then what's the best values of being a Canadian? I think I really like them. Canadians are very respectful too, and they're very open. Like, you know, they speak what they feel, and they're very open. They're very vocal, which is sometimes Filipinos are not. Like Filipinos will sometimes just stand in the corner, even if they say if they want to say no, they will say yes, just because they're very shy to say no. Like, you know, like yes. Like,
So were there times when your children challenged your decisions or the values that you were trying to teach them?
Many times, Tita Perla, because I mean, we taught the kids to be to express, right? Because that's one thing. Like I guess when you ask me growing up, also in the Philippines, we have a very patriarchal, like, you know, family type. Like the dad is like, if your dad says like no, then you said no. The dad says like, my papa said like, you sit, right? Like, you know. And sometimes in discussions of the adults, like you say, oh yeah, like kids are not allowed here, or like, you know, kids you go out and then it's just an adult topic, for example, right? And that was okay way back then, but when we got exposed in the Canadians, like that's not how it is. Like, you know, if you teach your kids to like just sit in the corner, they will be suppressed, like, you know, and they will not be able to get socially mature. And we brought them to Canada because why? Because we want them to be like living, participate, be a good citizen. And so like there's challenges. They will say like, they'll say, why you're so strict, mom? Like, because that's the Filipino way. you know? So the father's like, and why can't we do that? Because
Okay.
you're not love. But I remembered Luisa and Luis, my daughters, they want to play basketball, and my the grandma said, no, you cannot play. And they said, why, mama? Because you're girls. Basketball are for boys. And they're like, no, mama, like we can play basketball too. It's like, and you can see like how are they being taught in school, like like it's equal, like there's gender. It's like gender, like what the boys can do, the girls can do. So we're like, in the Philippines, maybe we will not make them play, but here's, you go play. So they were very good players. They're like MVPs, and like even they're like 5 feet and they're point guards. They can shoot 3 points. I'm like, mama, look, they can play and they're really good. And like I bring my parents to watch them play. They're so enjoyable watching. I was like, those little stories make you think how diverse is it, like.
Are you at all exposed to the Philippine community, and what do you think have changed in the community, considering how we started out coming from the Philippines?
Yeah, I think when we came in 2000, there's still a very close like Filipino community, but now I think, I guess with the internet, now you can do like Facebook groups and everything. Like I think it's a better tool to get more the community get intact and closer, right? I think it's really improving because there's more like people now can help other people. They know it's like, for example, newcomers, and then some people can help out. Like it's so much accessible now to help and be able to share also what you have, like
How is it in terms of inclusion, considering the wider Winnipeg community?
like the wider Winnipeg, how people felt. I think actually now with because of the Manitoba nominee, I saw the influx when the Manitoba nominee program that was really a big help, like
Yes.
to bring so much of the Filipinos and bring family together again, right? So that was really good. And maybe before, during my time when I came, there's not too many, like I say Philippines because we have so many parties and we have a very big extended relatives. So
Right.
it's like, but now there's more like really Filipino communities being involved in like social justice, like lots of organizations, and they tend to become more active is how I see it, which is really, really good. Like there's like participation and representation.
So are there things going on in the community that you think should be improved?
I think that not just for the Filipino community, Tita Perla, but I guess what would really help, because this is my personal experience when I came in here and trying to get the assessment for my degree. There used to be a Manitoba assessment agency. I think they're like closed down now, and they're supposed to get an equivalency certificate for your degree. So I was working with that agency. I need the certification for them to certify me that that my education is equivalent to a pharmacy graduate here in Canada, because I'm the one releasing products for the company, and I'm releasing vaccines, like and I have to have that. Even though I'm international graduate, I need to have the certification that I'm like a Canadian university, because Health Canada just changed the regulation, and FDA changed the regulation to say you cannot release the drugs unless you're graduated from an accredited Canadian university, or and I'm not.
Yes.
And if I cannot release the drugs, then we will not be able to sell the product. So I was working very hard with the agency. I said, I need that certificate that I'm a pharmacy graduate. And they said, no, we can only give you a diploma, because they count, Tita Perla, the number of years. And
We're
because in the
missing two.
Philippines we're missing 2 years,
Yes.
so they cannot grant me the degree, the bachelor's degree. They only said diploma, and I'm like, oh, I can't. So I talked to my legal team in the company, and I said, I found Alberta government. It's called IQAS, the Immigration Qualification Assessment. So I submitted all my legal documents, and fortunately they granted me the equivalency of my bachelor's degree. So basically, I have a paper saying your degree is equivalent to a Canadian University pharmacy degree,
Right.
which really helped me in my job. So I was like thinking, if there's something like that in Manitoba, I don't have to go to Alberta, but we don't have, and I don't know what we have right now, and how does professionals go get their technical equivalency, but that would be really, really good to have. And if that agency has closed, that would be good to have, to be back.
So that agency is for
It's a go.
accrediting and giving accreditation to all the different professions?
Yes, they assess your curriculum.
Yes.
So I have to give all the course outline
Yes.
and everything, and then they assess it if they can grant it to you. They assess it against, for example, University of Manitoba courses, and see whether you're an engineer there. Then we can grant you also like an engineer degree.
That's possibly one of the policies that need to be put forward, because one of the main problems that we've heard is the professional accreditation of a lot of newcomers.
And that's with all different kinds of professions, especially with professions that are really needed at this time, like in healthcare, doctors, nurses, and all that.
Yes.
It's hard for them to get accreditation.
And to have that agency to help get the equivalency of the professions, of the curriculum that they went through, would be of help. Well, that's great. It's good for it's
Yes,
good.
I
that
think it's really
you-
good. I was like thinking who to wrote to way back then, because really that's something like maybe not everyone is aware of. For example, the pharmaceutical industry, like the Health Canada regulations and like the FDA regulations, but those are regulations that we as citizens, like, we need to make sure someone's making the drugs, because when we're taking the medication, we're just in the hospital lying, or we're just at the mercy on how the manufacturers are making these medications, right? So
Mhm.
they need to have that education, like you just don't want anyone
Right.
from the streets who's like making these medications, right?
Exactly.
So I hope that there's like a Manitoba agency. Like I don't know, as I said, I haven't really looked into it lately. What do we have in place to kind of help out new immigrants, professionals, like independent, skilled immigrants coming? That would be really, really good to have if they can put that back in place, or whatever's the agency right now.
So what other things do you think should be done to improve our system in making our new arrivals more inclusive in the way things are happening with the different aspects of life here in Canada?
Yeah. I think we have, at least in Manitoba, because I know I have some friends who went to like Toronto, like at the same time as me, as I said, it was really difficult for them to, like, Toronto, for example, is a bigger city than Winnipeg, and their kids became sick, and they don't have the medical card for 3 months, for 90 days, and they have to pay out. The baby had measles break out, and then they have to pay like 20,000 and they just came, right? Like they just arrived. It was really tough for them, and we're like kind of sympathized with them. And we're very happy we came to Winnipeg. We landed in Winnipeg, and no one got sick, and we were able to avail that help right away. So I think health-wise, I think we get the medical card on day one, which is really good. So in terms of like the services, banking system is really good. Like, as long as you have all the paperwork, school system is really good. I think I will just be like helping the parents get back to where the career they want. That's because of my personal experience, right? So, and I think with all the programs right now, like Manitoba Start, and I know some departments was helping them make their resume, like make them understand how the workforce is here in Canada. And maybe I think it will be good, like mentorship circles, maybe, like, how it will be good to, like, I would love, and this is what I do with people who come to me and they say, like, Lorna, can you like help, like advise how they get when they get into workforce, like what's the culture in the company, like corporate culture in Canada, because it's very different from the Philippines, for example, right? Like, in the Philippines, we're very, again, being respectful translates to the work workplace. Also, like when your manager, you call them mom, sir, hi mom, hi sir. And you tend again to have not very vocal because that's how you're trained at home, right? So when you go to work, you also tend to just stay at the corner until you're asked to like speak. And here in Canada, like in the corporate world, you need to have a voice. You need to say it. When it's a no, it's a no. It's a yes, a yes. When you can do it, you not do it. When you need help, vocalize it. Socialize what you need. Socialize if you need to want the training to like better yourself. To like, you know, it's part of your career development. Like vocalize it, because it will not do you any good just sitting in the corner just waiting for someone to ask you. Because everyone is like trained to be very vocal. Like, you know, so I think
You just pointed out one characteristic of a people that in coming over to Canada, they have to go through a transition or a transformation so that they can deal with the system.
yes.
Are there other things that you can think of that are different, that needs to, you know, adjustment when they come to Canada?
Well, they have to embrace and respect also, I guess, the culture here, right? So, I mean, and what I've seen also is like, because, for example, and I can maybe speak to like different cultures, but for the Philippines, we came in here, this is how we do it in the Philippines, so this is how we're going to do this here in Canada. I think you need to adjust also, right? Like, you know, when in Rome, you live like Rome, kind of thing, like, you know, so
Okay.
you also need to adjust, because, I mean, you also need to realize that you came here, and you have an obligation to be a good citizen also, like, you know, it's not just you're taking from Canada, or like you're taking, you also need to give, right? That's what I'm thinking. So some people I know, like, they just come in like, oh, like, I'm going to do it this way because it's how we're doing it way back in the home, and people just need to like accept that because this is how we were, like, you know, taught growing up. So I think it should be like two-way. Yeah.
Anything else you can think of that you want to share?
I guess for new immigrants, just keep going. Like, you know, it's a beautiful country. It's a beautiful province. It's a beautiful city, right? The opportunity here is unlimited. Like, you know, what you can get for yourself. There's no age limit. Like, no matter what age you come here and you landed here, there's no age limit. I guess wherever you are, it is like when you are determined to get what you want, and you'll get there. And for the kids, there's the opportunities. There is like many ways for them. Like, you know, as parents, I think we just need to be adaptable and embrace the culture. And I said, like, don't leave behind wherever you came from. Like, you know, because that really helps you be the person what you are now, and use that to kind of mold your children, right? Like, you know, it's not bad to like to keep both culture, I guess. I think it's great.
The best, keeping the best of both
Yeah,
worlds.
give the best of both worlds.
So just one last thing. Can you comment on diversity and inclusion in
Right.
the Philippine community and also in the bigger community?
In the Philippine community, I guess for us Filipinos sometimes, and maybe it's just Filipinos, when we like Filipinos, we just conglomerate like yeah, like I want to talk in Tagalog language and languages. And I think we need to be more open also, because I mean, same thing like the other, for people, for example, come from Indians, like from China's, like, you know, like, okay, let's just, I think it's also, it's also nice to see and like how, and know how culture, like different culture is, like, you know, and I think that's the key to us successful, especially in the corporate world. I see that because of course all of us like came from different cultures. For example, in my company right now, I'm the only Filipino in the leadership team, you know, so it's really good to kind of understand and have a voice. And if you're the only minority in that table, like, make them understand also, like I don't deny I came from Philippines, I'm proud to be Filipino, and my accent might be like, you know, and they're like, Lorna, what did you say? But they know what I'm trying to say. So I think inclusion is very important, like, for both just the Filipino community and the bigger community in general.
Do you think there's a section in our in the community that are isolated you know, there's about 100,000 Filipinos now in Winnipeg, and you see them they're in social gatherings.
Yeah.
You see them in big meetings that are carried on by different organizations and all that. Are there groups in the community that you think are isolated and not really out there and about giving or getting the help that they need?
Yeah. There might be some people, like families, like, well, again, it's like perception, I guess. It's like personal control, how they get to access this. Services also like offered by the community generally, but I guess Tita Pearl, you were here before me, and like I'm not sure. Now again with the internet and everything, I think it's more accessible now. But I'm not sure if you were exposed to like a different environment way back then.
So who do you think is isolated in our community?
I think Tita Pearl, there could be the people, because I mean mobility is really important in here, right? You know, especially with weather and everything. So like for myself, I can afford to buy a bus ticket or public transportation. I can access or maybe drive my own car. But there are people in the society maybe who's not, cannot even afford to buy a ticket to get to where to get the services that they want. So even if the services is being offered in the community, they don't have the means to get to that, like, you know, agency. And it's just basically not having access to technology. Maybe like they don't have cell phones or like computer to like learn and orient themselves with what is being offered in the community. I think that's important. Like how to reach them out.
How about our elderly?
And yeah, you're right. The elderly also, like, because I know in the Philippines, like, you always have someone with you, like, you know, always have your grandkids, your niece, or whoever. In here, because we're so trained to become independent, like, you know, if you have that pension, then well, good, like this pension's helping you and you'll be able to afford living in a comfortable house. But if you don't have that, because you're an immigrant, you just came later in your life and you don't get as much CPP or pension, those could be part of the people who got left out and missing out on the services.
Now that we're in the topic of elderly, how do you think our elderly is coping with the fact that now here in Canada, they're basically on their own? You know, whereas in the Philippines, you expect your children to look after you. How is it, what kind of care do families give to their elderly now?
I have my mom living with me, right? And I know because I took care of my dad also, like before him passing away, and now my mom, yes. And I know for sure that just because that's what's ingrained in me, I know I'll take care of my mom. But I will not fault the children who will decide later on that they'll put their parents in home care and get access to whatever is the services out there. Because I mean, they also have to survive. Like, you know, there's bills to pay, they have to go to work. So if that's the best for the family, so be it. Like, I know I don't judge, but I think we'll see this in our community, in our Filipino community, and I think we should not be so judgmental. Because I know how Filipinos are, like, oh yeah, like, you know, that person, like, they brought their parents and they're like, you know, to the home care and they can take care of them, right? Like, you know, I think for the elders, my husband and me were talking about this, so like we'll get to that point and telling my kids during dinner time, like, you know, where are we going to go? And we're like elders, like, you know. If they decided to put us in a nursing home, I think we just have to accept it also, because, you know, as I said, we're now in Canada, like,
so the changing of expectations.
You
now.
have to, yeah, and I think that's what I encourage, not maybe just the Filipino community, because I mean, like some Asian countries also, like culture, like very tight knit, like when it comes to, like, I know some Asian families like live with like 4 different members, 4 families in one house, also just to be together, save money, save bills, and that's okay too. But eventually, like, I think the family should decide what's the best for each family member, right? So, and that should not be judged by the society as like exclude them or like, oh, these are different.
That's another different, way of living. That concept of having extended family in one home.
Oh yes. Yeah.
We're very protective of our space.
Yes.
Not knowing that in some countries, having a roof over your head,
Yes,
you are willing to share that with whoever needs it. So, in a small one-bedroom home, if there's 10 people needing that shelter, you're welcome in that
Yes.
space. So that change again here. You find that the transition for those who are arriving here and seeing how sometimes families treat the other extended family just because they're so used to the Canadian way of having my own space.
Yeah.
That's another important
Yeah,
aspect.
I think I can speak to that, Tita Perla, because that's my personal experience being like, after me, my husband and myself, like I was able to sponsor many family members, like I think 6 families, like, my brother, my 2 cousins, my husband's brother. It's like, some of the families live in my house. Like, I remember I have me and my husband, my 3 kids, my mom and dad 7. And then I'll get a family of 5, for example, living in my house, 5-bedroom. So I have to like condition the family, talk to my kids, and like, you are not going to have your own bedroom. They did not get their own bedroom not until they're like 13, 15, because that's that time where like I no one came anymore. Like I told my relatives, like, now it's your turn to pay it forward. You don't even have to like pay back to me, like pay forward and sponsor whoever you can help, like your father, sister, your family, or whoever. And they did that, right? So, and they did the same thing. They let them into their home. And I think that's where it really depends on how you kind of like started the culture, and then how you kind of like mentor again the people, and how they learned from you, right? Because I know some people too, like they did not do that, right? So when you come here, you're on your own. Like, we'll get you an apartment, and you'll get there directly, right? You're not going to live in my house, like, because my kids will need the space, or like, but I'm happy that I did that when the kids are like small, and then when they said, "Mom, I need my own rooms," like, now I don't have space, like, so the other family, the other relatives can now like take care of the other ones coming over. So that's how we did it, like,
And that's one way of living that non-Filipinos also misread. In school, for instance, when students share, we have guests from the Philippines, and there's 10 of us in the home.
Yeah.
A teacher who's not familiar with it would question that, because in a house with 3 bedrooms, only 5 people should be there, and that becomes a big issue.
Oh, really now?
Yes,
Was not an issue before, but yeah, okay.
because they don't know that.
Yeah.
That's a practice that we're used to back home. So that concept of space is one thing that is very different between coming from a developing country and being in North America.
It is. And I'm happy, like, that my children did not question me, like, why are we like getting all these people here in our house? It's like, and they're very willing to share. Like, they're happy to be with their cousins there, and they get close to them. We're sad when they're like leaving, because they actually, when they leave the house, they're able to buy a house already on their own, which is really good. I feel really good and feel really proud that we help them on like finding their jobs, like, getting back to be sustainable, and just live the life that what they have now, and enjoy it, right?
Thank you so much, Lorna, for that very inspiring story that you shared. Your story again opened up our eyes about the way people live, the way they look at things, the values that they adhere to. People coming from the Philippines joining us here in Winnipeg, again adding to our vibrant multicultural society. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tita Perla.
And this is Perla Javate.
inviting you for more stories that we'll share with you. Thank you.